Hi, my name is Mike Lamy, junior accounting major from Hartford, Connecticut, and today I'm going to host a training session on sexual harassment in the workplace. First, let's start with the definition of sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is a form of discrimination based on sex and can occur in many forms and under many different circumstances. Our federal government and most states have passed laws that prohibit sexual harassment in the workplace. All employers are obligated to maintain a harassment-free workplace for its employees at all times. Managers and supervisors must be aware of their responsibilities and accountability for failure to prevent and correct sexual harassment in the workplace. Part of their responsibilities includes learning to recognize sexual harassment and the appropriate corrective actions to take in the event of an occurrence. As always, implementing preventative measures is the best tool to eliminate sexual harassment. In addition to the legal implications, sexual harassment destroys the work environment and can affect anyone in any job, not just women. In fact, statistics show that 16% of claims are filed by males. The anxiety and frustration experienced by victims can impact their quality of life, not to mention the quality of their work. As an employer, part of your legal and moral obligation is to maintain a workplace free of sexual harassment. By allowing harassment to flourish in your workplace, you will pay a high price in terms of poor employee morale, low productivity, and litigation. Next, let's talk about the different types of sexual harassment. Quid pro quo means this for that. An example of this form of sexual harassment occurs if a teacher or any school employee stipulates that your grade or participation on a team in a play, etc., will be based on whether you submit to an unwelcome sexual conduct. This abuse or authority is illegal regardless if you participate or not. Next, we're going to talk about another type of sexual harassment, which is called hostile environment sexual harassment. Now, this is verbal, physical, or visual forms of harassment that are sexual in nature, sufficiently severe, persistent, or pervasive, and unwelcome. These all fall under to hostile environment sexual harassment. A single severe incident, such as sexual assault, could create a hostile environment. More commonly, a hostile environment is created by a series of incidents. Next, we're going to talk about flirting in the workplace. A lot of you may be wondering, is flirting considered sexual harassment? Well, to determine that, you must consider if it's welcomed or unwelcomed. Behavior that is enjoyed or welcomed, such as two students enjoying flirting with each other, is not sexual harassment. Unwelcome is a key determinant in whether or not behavior constitutes sexual harassment or not. To quote the U.S. Department of Education, conduct of sexual nature is unwelcome when the student being harassed did not request or invite the conduct and regarded it as offensive or undesirable. There are situations where it is obvious and reasonable to most people that behavior is unwelcome. But there are also situations where it may not be so obvious. For example, Julie no longer wants to date John and has told him so. John, however, continuously behaves as if they were still dating. He phones her for dates. In the halls at school, he comes up to her and touches Julie in ways that are no longer welcomed by her. John is really making a pest of himself. John may be unaware because of their past relationship that what he is doing is really not welcomed by Julie. But he had better catch on soon. John's conduct is affecting Julie's ability to participate or learn at school. John's behavior, because it is sexual in nature, is repeated and not wanted. This is sexual harassment. A hostile environment exists in which Julie no longer feels safe. Examples of sexual harassment also include behaviors that can create a school environment or work environment that feels threatening or unsafe and can interfere with the student or professional's ability to participate and learn. Hostile environment sexual harassment can come from a teacher or other school official, but most often it comes from fellow students or employees. Sexual comments about your body, sexual advances, sexual touching, sexual graffiti, gestures, or dirty jokes are all considered sexual harassment. When employment is conditioned on submission to sexual advances, or when unwelcome sexual conduct is so severe and pervasive that a reasonable employee may find it offensive, then it constitutes sexual harassment. Courts have carved out different standards for sexual harassment, depending on the conduct and who is doing the harassing. The less physically threatening forms of sexually harassing behaviors are also the most commonly reported. This includes sexual joking. Sexual harassment exists where the conduct is unwelcome. Therefore, while some women may think that if they join in the joking, it will lessen the impact of the harassment, it may in fact work against them. It provides evidence that they did not find an objection or find it offensive. It may result in the determination that they were not victims of the hostile environment. In fact, going along with the jokes is not effective in stopping harassment, and in a significant numbers of cases, just makes it worse. Sometimes sexual harassment takes the form of words that are generally directed at females, including calling a woman doll or babe, using sexist phrases like dumb blondes, claiming that women cry or are too emotional, asking male workers to think above their belt buckles, stating that some jobs are just women's work, or suggesting that women should be barefoot and pregnant. A harasser's physical conduct may also contribute to a sexually harassing environment. Examples of sexually harassing conduct without words include looking up and down a person's body, staring at someone, cornering a person or blocking a person's path, following that person, and giving personal gifts. Some harassment may include physical and verbal sexual advances towards one or more victims. Examples of these include turning discussions to sexual topics, asking about sexual fantasies, and making harassing phone calls or emails. Sexual intimidation occurs when there is a warning that the employee will lose his or her job or lose a job benefit unless he or she agrees to engage in the sexual activity. For example, telling a person to go to a motel to negotiate a raise or ordering a person to provide sexual services to avoid a transfer are all forms of sexual harassment. Less common but more violent sexually harassing conduct may also include threats of harm, forced sexual touching, or attempted and complete sexual assault. Any attempted or completed grabbing, touching, or forcing sexual activity without consent is a sexual crime. In conclusion, to avoid sexual harassment situations, do the right thing and avoid unwelcoming behaviors. Thank you for your participation in this training on sexual harassment. Until next time, Mike Lamy signing off.